Good morning, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the GBC SPT page. We're very happy to be with you today, and His Grace Adikarta Prabhu has joined us. Haribol Adikarta Prabhu, my obeisances to you. Great to see you. And we're, of course, discussing Srila Prabhupada's book distribution marathon. And I'm very happy to have Adikarta Prabhu with us today because still, after 5 decades of service to Srila Prabhupada, he continues to go out weekly, if not daily, to distribute Prabhupada's books wherever he's at in the world. And I think right now, Prabhu, we find you in Gainesville, isn't it?
Yeah, I live near Gainesville. I live in Alachua. The farm. I got my cows. I can see my cows.
Oh, wonderful. I see pictures of your cows on Facebook also. They're very beautiful.
Yeah.
So Prabhu, we'll go ahead and get to it. I always love to begin discussions with devotees with the perennial question of how did you join? How did you meet the devotees? So maybe you can share with us something of how you came to Krishna consciousness.
Well, I actually met the devotees when they first went to London in, I think it was 1970, maybe 69, I'm not sure. And I had a friend, he was a record producer, and so he asked me to take some pictures of them. So I went to it was a warehouse actually in Covent Garden in London, and they were there, and they had invited the Hells Angels to be there too. Anyway, I wasn't quite ready to join at that time. I was a photographer, and so I met them there. I wasn't ready to join. That was 1970. And then for 4 years, I was lost in the wilderness. I went to India a couple of times, hitchhiked to India, through, the Middle East, Afghanistan, etc. And then when I came back, that was probably the beginning of 1974. And I was really at a loss to know what to do with my life. I was kind of confused. Life was not going my way. I realized I had no control over things. So then I went to one road, which was a very popular tourist place, actually, in a hippie kind of place in London called Portobello Road. It's a famous place, Portobello Road. Anyway, I was walking down the road completely lost. One girl came up to me and she sold me a Back to Godhead magazine, actually, and a India record. It was a 33 album by Achyutananda Swami at the time. And so I went home, I listened to the music, I loved the music, I'd already been to India. And I read the magazine. In the magazine, there was an invitation to Bhaktivedanta Manor. So the next day, that was Saturday, Sunday was for the invitation was on Sunday. So I went to the Sunday program. I really liked it. I decided, I got to move here. So they let me move there. I moved there the next day. And basically that was it. I was completely convinced. Within a couple of weeks, I was out distributing books.
Haribol. And you've been doing that since 1975, it sounds like.
So yeah, late 74.
Late 74, forgive me.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
so, right.
I liked doing it. I always liked it. I always had a taste for it. It was nice to be able to help people. I could see that everyone's suffering in the material world, and somehow or other I had a talent for it. Well, not great, but okay.
Now we hear many devotees when they were living in the temple, and Sankirtan was just kind of what happened when you lived in the temple in the early days, especially, went out on book distribution.
Right.
We don't see as many devotees today who don't have that temple atmosphere going out regularly, but somehow you yourself kept that as a kind of sadhana, it almost seems. What was it for you that allowed you to keep that steadiness in the practice of distributing Prabhupada's books?
Well, I really like it, for one thing. I like it more than I ever liked it, actually. It's getting better and better. It's not something you get. I never got fried with doing. I mean, I took breaks now and again, but I've always liked doing it, and I've been able to connect with people better and better over time. And I always remember, even if sometimes, the situation wasn't particularly favorable for me to go out, I would always try to go out, because I always remembered what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had said about, if any of his brahmacharis went out and just sold a couple of magazines, he was happy.
Mm.
So I always remembered that. And, I always just really felt at home going out. I felt that, this is what people need. People are suffering so much, and that, this is the way to please Srila Prabhupada. He wanted it so much. So it's good fun, it's great going out and meeting new people and changing their lives. I see it as you're giving out love. You're not just giving them a book, you're giving them, because you're starting the process of them winding up loving Krishna.
Jai.
So it's amazing.
Now, you began in Europe, it sounds like UK, and you're in the US now. And I personally know that you've been many, many places distributing Prabhupada's books. So what are the universal principles maybe you can share for us? Because we have an international audience. What are some kind of universal principles for helping people be favorable, receptive to somebody stopping them on a street corner somewhere and sharing with them one of Prabhupada's books?
Well, just being friendly and being patient, when people reject you, and having confidence in what you're doing, that you're giving them the greatest opportunity to perfect their lives. You're giving them Srila Prabhupada, who's the greatest preacher the West has ever seen, at least, and who, just by touching the book, I always remember what Prabhupada said, even just by touching a book, they get so much benefit.
Mm.
So wherever I go, last year, or maybe it was the year before now, I went to Lithuania, and, I found that people were nice there and very receptive. I met one girl, she was 13, she didn't look 13. But I try to approach young people, because even young people that age, they can still buy the books and still be interested. So this girl, she said that her kind of dream was to go to the Himalayas and meet, become a yogi or something. So wherever you go, you can meet really nice people. I did distribute books for some time in South Africa, which was good. I traveled all over South Africa in a van. Of course, these are all English-speaking countries. It's easier. Also, Turkey. I went to Turkey a year or so ago. I met some nice people there. It wasn't so easy because not many of them spoke English, but, we sold the books.
That's a predominantly Muslim country.
Yeah.
What was your experience of their reception? Did you speak with anyone who's a practicing Muslim, and were they open to?
I've met Muslims in London who are practicing Muslims, and they take the books. I don't meet many in America, not here in Florida, because most of the Muslims are students and they're kind of focused on. Anyway, I don't find them that receptive, to be honest, not the students. But in London, I'd met, a lot of Muslims. People from Eritrea are good, Somalia. I can always tell where people are from, that impresses them. You're from Ethiopia, right?
Wow.
Ethiopians are good, Eritreans are good. I met people from all over the place, basically. Even here at the University of Florida, I met some nice people from Pakistan. In fact, one guy came up to me the other day. He was Pakistani and he was very interested. He bought the books, but he wasn't really a practicing Muslim. But he was good. We have another girl here now who's, seriously chanting Hare Krishna. We met her a few weeks ago. I've been trying to cultivate her for some time, but she suddenly became interested, and her father's Iranian. Wow. She was born in a Muslim family, but she's really into Krishna. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So wherever you go, it's the same principle. Just don't be afraid to approach people and be friendly, show them the books. it's, it's pretty simple, really.
What's your favorite way to approach someone, Prabhu? How do you broach that conversation? How do you strike them up?
Well, it depends where you are.
Okay.
Like if you're in London, because sometimes you go to stay at Soho Street in London. It's a very, very, the busiest road in the world, probably, Soho Street. I mean, Oxford Street, it's right by the temple. And so stopping people is a huge challenge. Not so easy to stop people. And it's really amazing how things have changed as well, because originally when we were distributing books back in the 70s, we'd get hassled by the police and they would chase us off. But now there we have book tables. We have right on the street, to rent a shop or a space in the busiest shopping street in the world is obviously very expensive. But there we are with a book table, a double book table, actually. The police never hassle us. They're super friendly. Nobody bothers us. Stopping people is a challenge. So you have to trick people, It's whatever it takes. It's not, I mean, at the university where it's much mellower, you just say, a student or a young professor or something, are you going that way, the way they're heading, something stupid, or you drop something. I mean, it sounds mundane, but it actually works. They stop, you get a chance to put the book in their hand and speak to them. So whatever it takes.
Beautiful. And you also mentioned this young woman you're cultivating now. She's taking up chanting, and that's something I happen to know is a hallmark of your book distribution in Sankirtan, is that you take the time to follow up with the folks that have received Prabhupada's books from you. And maybe you could share some around how to do that. What's your process there? Because a lot of devotees kind of, we could say, have a concern about book distribution, that many books go out, but not a lot of people really get connected through that. So you're solving that problem.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really important because I've been doing this kind of technique for a long time. I started when I was in South Africa, when I started going to the universities there, because generally I go to universities. Prabhupada said universities are the best place to preach. And I know in America, a lot of the book distributors go to universities. They are the best place. You meet the young, intelligent people. So one thing that helps is to go to the same place regularly. Most of the devotees I've made are from meeting the same people over and over again. So, I have a real advantage here in Florida because the weather's always, it's friendly weather at any time of the year. And you can be outside, like yesterday was a cold day. It was one of the coldest days, probably in the daytime. It was 53 degrees Fahrenheit. So, but that's cold.
We're praying for that up here.
Today it's 70. So, and also, I mean, being by the Krishna lunch helps too, because they serve the Krishna lunch right where I distribute the books. They didn't always, but now I stand generally where I have a book table. So generally, like that girl, her name is Lily. So I had given her prasadam before, because I always take prasadam with me. My wife makes really nice chocolate chip cookies, or I have some maha burfi or something. I always give people prasadam. So she had taken prasadam a couple of times before, and then, all of a sudden she just developed interest in it. Everybody's different. Some people, there's another boy called Vova who I met a couple of years ago, and to begin with, he was a little bit standoffish, had a little bit of an attitude, but I just kept preaching to him, and he could see that I was sincere, and what I was saying had some value. It was logical, it made sense. So now he's living in the temple, and so at the university, it's usually like that. It takes a little time. I've got one other boy, I've been preaching to him for 3 or 4 years. He's becoming really, really serious about it. But, everyone's different. Like I met another boy at a music festival. The best place to make devotees are music festivals.
Mm.
There's two boys at the Krishna house that joined that I'd met at a music festival. One of them's back to Stephen. So I met him at the Halloween festival. Halloween, you know, that kind of hippie festivals.
Yeah.
They're pretty crazy, you know, like that one up in wherever it is. What's it called? That
Electric Forest, maybe, or Rainbow Gathering.
Yeah, something like that.
We've done a few together.
Yeah. So this boy Stephen, basically, he's great. So I sold him the books. I approach people. My mantra is not just, oh, it's about yoga, take a book, give a donation. I try to give them something to think about when I approach them with a book. So I'll tell you what I say, just so.
Please.
I mean, it's simple, but I think it covers a lot of different aspects of our philosophy. So what I say is, yeah, have you ever heard of anxiety? Everyone knows that mantra. They all say, yeah, of course. You put the book in their hand, then you point to the picture of the changing bodies. So then I say, this is not religion. This is just logical. Have you ever heard of people that get out of body experiences, like astral projection, lucid dreaming, near-death experiences? Some people can even remember their past lives. Have you ever heard of that? So some of them have heard of that. So then I say, then it talks about karma. You know what karma is? And they all know what karma is. I said, wow, you've got really good karma. You know that? You look intelligent, you're healthy, whatever it is, you've got nice teeth, good smile. And then, so I say, well, karma comes and goes. So this book tells you how to get perfect karma permanently through meditation and self-discovery. Then I say, it's the oldest knowledge in the world. Then I show them the Sanskrit. I ask them, you know what this language is? Some of them know, not many. So I say, this is the original language in the world. That's the most complicated language. People can't even speak it anymore. It's too complicated, which means that people used to be more intelligent previously. We've actually devolved. We haven't evolved. And a lot of people will agree with that. And then I say, and this book was spoken to the sun god. You know, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Persians, everybody worshipped the sun. So it was spoken to the sun god, but it still started in Harvard and Oxford, all the big universities. And even the guy that invented the atomic bomb, you know what his name was? And some of them know, some of them don't. So, anyway, that's my presentation. Then I say, well, what do you study? And then, we pass out the books. We don't sell them. We just get donations. You can give a donation if you want. I don't push people. I used to push people. I used to be very, very competitive. So I remember, do you want me to stick with this topic?
No, go ahead. You're wanting to share a memory?
So, anyway, so Stephen, I met him at the Halloween festival. And, I showed him the books. He was super friendly. He got the books. He gave me $20 or something. And then I could see he was very interested. So I spent a lot of time talking to people. I don't just rush off to the next guy. I'm not doing it because I need the money. I don't, I've never done it because I need the money. So, I mean, it's handy, to get some money, but I don't do it for that. And I'm doing it mainly, to preach to people, to give them a chance to hear about Krishna. So then I preached to him for a while. I mean, I will spend an hour talking to somebody if they have some interest. Not if they're not going to buy a book, but, if they buy a book and they're interested, I will spend as long as it takes. So I spent some time talking to him. Then I said, well, maybe you should move, because he was very interested. I said, maybe you should move to Florida and come and live at the Krishna house. I say that to people, and I said, well, you should try it out. Anyway, I gave him my card because he was from Oregon. So I said, I give everyone my card. It's got a picture of the changing bodies, my changing body. When I was middle-aged, now that I'm old.
That's clever.
So I said, you're changing bodies too. Don't worry, it's not you. So I gave him my cards, got my contact info. So a few days later, he calls me up. He writes me an email. He says, oh, I really like this. I'm very interested. So, then I said, well, you should come over here. So he flew over to Florida from Oregon. He's been living in the temple for a year or two. So Everybody's different, you know. Sometimes you meet someone right there and then, and they become a devotee. I've had that. I met one boy in North Carolina, actually, North Carolina School of the Arts. If you've ever been there,
Some of my best friends are from there.
it's a really good school for preaching. It's very open. It's near where I used to live in Prabhupada Village. So I used to go there regularly. I made 2 devotees there. One of them, you know, he was really spaced out. He said, "Oh, can I have one of your books?" I said, I gave him a small book. He went off for the day. He came to see a friend of his or something. Anyway, he went off and he came back. He said, "I read your book. I really like it." So I said, "Yeah, it's amazing." So he said, "You should come with me." So he came back the same day, and he never left for a couple of years. He got married. He's still married. He lives in Hillsborough.
Wow.
But yeah, of course, rainbow gatherings are good for making devotees. Well, you were there with me. We didn't make many there, except for orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the books. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I used to be very competitive. I'm not competitive anymore. I don't really care. And I'm not really dedicated like some of these, you know, the Vedic, Rupanuga Vedic College, they used to be with them, and they've done amazing service. They're just full on dedicated, traveling all the time, doing books. I can't do that. I'm more into making devotees through distributing books. Because my philosophy is if you can make one devotee who can also distribute books, that's a better idea than, you know, just doing it all yourself. So, but I used to be very competitive. I remember one, because I do believe in the Christmas marathons. I think the Prabhupada Marathon, we used to call them Christmas Marathon, the Prabhupada Marathon, they're really important because it's a time when people go crazy for spending money. So, you know, I've participated in a lot of Prabhupada marathons through my time. And I remember one marathon, we spent going on the subway trains, the tube trains in London. And that was horrible. I hated it. But we did it. We had to do it, you know, because just they asked us to do well, and we tried, and we did well. You know, we sold a lot of books and magazines. I remember one Christmas marathon, I was with Pragosh, you know, the famous book distributor, and we had an intense competition. It was so intense. And we had a great time though, but we were very competitive. But it was very ecstatic. We loved it. And we traveled all over the UK. This is in about 1982. And so we, you know, we were competing seriously to try and win. One day we got really lucky. It was exciting because we happened to go to the train station where all the soldiers were getting off the train from Germany. So, you know, we did really well that day. We did a lot of books, and I beat Pragosh that day. And that day, that was in about 1982, I did about 450 pounds, which was, you know, like $800 or $900. In those days, it was big. It was kind of a record. I'm bragging now. Sorry.
We are excited to hear it, Prabhu.
Yeah. Another Christmas marathon, I went out with Shiva Ramaswamy. Because Shiva Maharaj, he's really into book distribution. You know, he used to go to O'Hare Airport, and very, very, very into book distribution. He was even going out a couple of years ago in Hungary, in Budapest, and he was doing pretty well. I think he got some donations from disciples, but he did pretty well. But he went out. I was supposed to go with him. This is about 5 years ago. He went up to Manchester, which is a miserable place. But he went out, you know, he must have been at least 65 years old. And, but I went with him, you know, this was back in probably 95 or something. We went on a marathon in his motorhome. He had a small RV, and we traveled all over the place. We had a great time. But I want to go out this Christmas. It's just the COVID, so I'm not sure whether to go or not. I might go to join the boys in Atlanta. The Yugadam, New York, the road is up there. They're doing really big. They've got how many books have they got? They got 40,000 books. Something to distribute in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I don't know.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah, because I feel, Christmas time, I feel guilty if I don't go out.
Well, Prabhu, I think your example is one that a lot of devotees can relate to, because in most cases now, whatever our service is, we're not living in a temple in a situation where 10, 12 hours of Sankirtan is possible. But you've kept that connection to the service, and especially your intent on making devotees and giving that time to really cultivate people, I think is also something that a lot of people admire and appreciate about your approach. So would you like to share any maybe concluding thoughts or encouragements for devotees in terms of how they can bring book distribution into their life if it's not so much there yet, or maybe improve on what they're already doing?
I think one of the most important things is I've got a book here, All Glories to the Sankirtan Devotees. Can I read a short letter from Prabhupada?
Sure, please, Prabhu. That'd be great.
I think, the mood was that when Prabhupada was alive, everybody distributed books. I remember when in 1977, Prabhupada was very sick. He came to London. He was on his way to America because he wanted to establish Varnashram, which is something I really would love to see established myself. I've got cows, like I said, I really believe in trying to show the example that Prabhupada talks about in the books. It's great to distribute the books about cow protection, but if we don't really show people on a large scale, it's not, it's kind of an armchair philosophy. So I really believe in that. But the reason, that I go out so much and I feel so dedicated to it is because I know that, it's the best form of preaching. So I'm going to read this excerpt from this letter Prabhupada wrote in May 1977. I'm just going to read one paragraph. Go on spreading the Sankirtan movement more and more. I am only one person, but because all of you have kindly cooperated with me, this movement has now become a success all over the world. Be assured that there is no more direct way to preach than to distribute Krishna conscious books. Whoever gets the book is benefited. If he reads the book, he is benefited. Still more, if he gives the book to someone else for reading, both he and the other person's benefit. Even if he does not read the book, but simply holds and sees it, he is benefited. If he simply gives small donation towards the work of Krishna consciousness, he is benefited. And anyone who distributes these transcendental literatures, he is also benefited. Therefore, Sankirtan is the prime benediction for the age. So that says it all. So yeah, there's no taste. I like to lead a kirtan. I got a terrible voice, but I really like singing. And we do sing every day at the UF campus, but so many people can sing, everyone in their mother can sing, you know what I mean? But when it comes to distributing books, and the taste from distributing books is actually the best taste. It's really nectar. When you get somebody to take a book, Krishna rewards you with some special taste. And that's there in the first verse of the Shikshastakam. It gives us a taste for the nectar for which we're always anxious. So that taste from preaching, and I find that preaching to new people who've never heard about Krishna is the most satisfying taste. Giving class is nice. I like to give class sometimes. But, bringing new people, giving new people a chance to become devotees. Because ultimately, even if somebody becomes a devotee, it's really they need preaching too, but it's up to them. If they're intelligent, they're going to take it seriously. But to give everybody a chance to have the chance to become a devotee, I think that is, for me, that is the highest taste. That's why I do it. I can't hear you.
Right. Sorry, I muted myself. There's a little background noise
Okay.
outside I can't do anything about, so I muted
All right.
myself. Thank you, Prabhu. That's wonderful. Have it, the taste is what really in our advanced stages of devotion, that's what should move us. And it's wonderful to hear that you developed that.
Well, I think that's what drove Prabhupada on with, writing his books. He got the taste, everything that, even undergoing the austerities that Srila Prabhupada underwent, just seeing people take up Krishna consciousness just made it also worthwhile. It was just so rewarding, that all the austerities paid off. So it's like that with book distribution in a small way, approaching people who might not feel like approaching, people who might feel shy, but, and a lot of people may reject us. I've been rejected so many times, but the rewards you get, like making devotees. I mean, I remember one incident. How much time have we got? We got much time?
Oh, sure, Prabhu. Share. Go ahead.
I was in London, and I was in Camden Town Market, which is kind of a big tourist hippie area. And I was distributing books there, and I approached this young girl. She was actually, I think she was Colombian or Hispanic or something. She was nice. Anyway, I showed her the book. She said, great, yeah. Just hold on here a minute. And she went to the ATM. She came back and she gave me about, $300-400.
Wow.
And then she started crying. Somehow or other, I don't know, it really affected her. So I took her to the temple. I don't know what happened, but she was obviously really affected by getting a book. You just meet people. I mean, I meet so many nice people. There's a lot of nice people out there, at least where I go. Like I said, the universities are the best place. But even, going to Lithuania, in the street there, I met so many nice people. Wherever you go, you meet nice people. And they may never hear about Krishna if it wasn't for you. And there's only so many book distributors. I'm actually doing a podcast to the devotees in Lithuania about book distribution on Saturday. But, I really admire the devotees in places like Siberia, because I know that for them, it's really austere. They go out in the freezing cold. I mean, they really surrender. And those devotees who printed the books in Russia when it was dangerous, that's much more austere than what I'm doing. I've had it easy. But at the same time, I've done a few austerities.
More than a few, definitely.
But I've had a great time. I just remember, we had so much fun when I was in Ireland. We had this party there was 5 of us. And we had a tiny van. It wasn't even as big as those, the sprinters that they use. It was much smaller than that. There was 5 of us living in that van. But we had so much fun. And, we learned slokas early in the morning. When we got up, we would learn a lot of slokas. And we were very competitive, but it was so enjoyable. And even going out in the freezing cold, pouring with rain, we go out in the pouring with rain. And it was just good fun. There's nothing like it.
Jai. Wonderful, Prabhu. It's been great to have you on, and maybe we can have you back to share more in the future. You're a wellspring of nectar and encouragement, especially for book distribution. And I personally have experienced and know that many devotees appreciate this intent you have to cultivate those you connect with, and that kind of patient, invested approach. I love how you said, go the same place regularly, which is quite natural for those of us that are living in Grihastha ashram, wherever we are in the world, to develop relationships of trust with the people around us.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. There was one devotee, he's a famous devotee, I won't mention his name, but he's a big book distributor. And, he he was going to different colleges. And he said that, after 3 or 4 days, he could tell that people didn't want him here. He got the vibe that they'd seen him before. What are you doing here? I had been going to the same place for 15 years, and I meet new people all the time. Like one girl, this girl, right? Super nice girl. She's a devotee. She's a full-on devotee. And she's been at UF, University of Florida, for 4 years. And I never met her until 2 weeks ago. And she got a chant and be happy. And she read the book. Her name's Ali. She's great. She read the book and she just totally fell for it.
Wow.
And so, she's chanting Hare Krishna. She wants to live at the Krishna house. She's a super, super sweet girl. And, I'd never met her for 4 years. So you can go to the same place. University of Florida is a big university. It's 45,000 people. But even a small university of 20,000 people, or even 10,000 people, like the North Carolina School of the Arts, only got 500 people, but I made others there. So, you can go to the same place for a long time and meet different people.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
Good points of encouragement, Prabhu. Thank you so much again.
Maybe we can have an interview about Varnashram and cows.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. You are also famous for your ghee and milk and yogurt and butter and all the things that come out of your farm.
We have a good clientele of Alachua devotees who love it.
Yeah, we'll love to have you back on the channel for any number of reasons, Prabhu. Okay, dear devotees, thanks so much again for being with us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Haribol, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.